So it's a great honor for me to be moderating this conversation. Professor Rehman teaches at Jamia. He's come all the way from Delhi. Right now, he's coming from Bhubaneswar, which I found out recently, a couple of days ago. So he's part of that really, really small minority of Muslims in Odisha. And we have Aakar for Bangaloreans. He's a resident public intellectual in a way, and a very thorough analyst of the actions of the activities of the Hindu right wing. So it's great to have both of you here. Thank you. I'm last night I sat down and prepared a short note about the book. So indulge me as I quickly read through this. Give me 5 minutes. I won't take more of your time, but it'll serve as well as a background for the discussion. So Professor Rehman's book is titled Shikwa-e-Hind, The Political Future of Indian Muslims. The first part of the title is reminiscent of the title of poet and philosopher Muhammad Iqbal's early 20th century poem in Urdu, Shikwa, which is a complaint to Allah on the wretched plight of Muslims. Although Professor Rehman was not inspired by the title of this poem, the coincidental title of Professor Rehman's book, Shikwa-e-Hind, if read as an extension of Iqbal's plaintive appeal, can be translated as the complaint of India. Iqbal's poem was composed during what Professor Mujib calls the first political moment of Indian Muslims that commenced after the mutiny/revolt of 1857. In this first political moment, which extended till 1947, Muslims floundered after it became clear that they had lost political power permanently and turned inward. It was also during this period that they gained modern political consciousness. The triumphal and tragic moment of India's independence and partition marks the inauguration of the second political moment for Indian Muslims, and the highlight of this period was the sacred covenant that the Indian state drew with its religious minorities. The covenant was breached on many, many, many occasions, as Professor Rehman writes. But Indian Muslims still held on to the sacredness of this agreement, as in a way it legitimized their inherent identity as citizens and a crucial component of the nation. This moment ran its course till 2014, when the BJP under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership came to power at the center under its own majority. With this, the third political moment of Indian Muslims commenced, where the Hindu right has, with its comprehensive mandates at the center and in various states, galvanized politics and society into taking a sharp and aggressive rightward turn, which has led to an unprecedented and dangerous marginalization of Indian Muslims, a community that numbers more than 200 million today. While the first two political moments are discussed briefly as a prelude to 2014, Professor Rehman focuses intensively on this third political moment in his book and its implication for Indian Muslims. We are currently amid this third political moment, and the book's value lies in bringing together a vast and robust amount of research material to broadly argue that the Hindu right wants the de-Islamization of India. So, Rehman, as a political scientist, he has a longue durée perspective. He breaks this down in a very granular manner and establishes his thesis in a very comprehensive way. He looks at questions such as Indian Muslims' rights to have rights, the banality of violence against Muslims, the hindrances to the development of Indian Muslim women, the transition of Indian Muslim citizenship from a jus soli by birth to a jus sanguinis by descent status of citizenship, and also forefronts the debate on Indian Muslim backwardness. He also, unusually for a book on Indian Muslims, dwells on the cultural and political lives of South Indian Muslims, which he sees as markedly different from that of North India. The book makes for grim reading, and the detailed discussion of the various ways in which Indian Muslims have been disempowered and politically invisibilized under the onslaught of Hindu majoritarianism will certainly make the reader feel that a way out of this despondent situation where Indian Muslims can be potentially treated as equal political citizens of India one day is hopeless. This sort of provides the background of the book, but just as a last comment, a few years after composing his Shikwa, Muhammad Iqbal followed it up with another poem titled Jawab-e-Shikwa, which was supposed to be Allah's response. The stature of this philosopher poet was such that he could respond on Allah's behalf, which caused a consternation among the Islamic clergy at that time. I don't think that Professor Rehman has any misconceptions of inhabiting such a lofty realm, but his last concluding chapter, his Jawab-e-Shikwa in a way, does have a few ideas as to how Indian Muslims can address their intense marginalization and become relevant to secure their rights as Indian citizens and ensure their political future in the country. For without this, as Professor Rehman writes, Indian democracy will remain incurably wounded. Thank you. Thank you for the book, Professor Rehman. Aakar, let's start with you. You've written 2 books critically interrogating some of the themes that Professor Rehman engages with. So, a few comments from you, your reflection on your reading of the book.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for writing this book, and thank you all for coming. Thank you to BIC. I'll speak to chapters 2 and 3, and then maybe we can speak about his conclusions later. But 2 and 3 deal with the subject that Vikhar spoke of, which is Muslims in South India, and also the fact that the violence that we are seeing all around us is new in one way, which is that it is a state imposed. That all the decades that I was in newspapering, one had never heard of the term beef lynching. This is a gift that has come to us after 2015, when 2 BJP states, Maharashtra first, Haryana second, passed laws which criminalized the possession of beef. This has nothing to do with the article in the Constitution which aims to protect livestock. This is purely about beef, and the reversal of the burden of proof, which began a series of episodes of violence that has continued. He has documented many of them, for which we are grateful. One thing as a journalist I should point out is that in a newsroom, when something keeps coming in the same format regularly, it tends to be demoted. It starts off on the front page, then it goes inside, it goes further in. At some point, it becomes what is called a brief, that it is not worthy of being reported in full. I think that is what has happened with lynching, that the violence that is driven through law and allowed to happen in society has become normalized. One remarkable part of these laws, and these are all laws in the north of India. We in Karnataka are trying our best to become like the north. Fortunately for us, we don't have the kind of momentum in politics that the north has. There are parts of India, Gujarat being the obvious one, where though it's democratic, it's a one-party state. So that one party tends to dominate every poll from local to national. And so we are, in some sense, fortunate that we meaning the people of the South, have not had the opportunity to participate in this in the way that our compatriots in northern India have. The striking part of the law, which is not new, a lot of this comes to us from the Congress, and we should accept that this is not something that began after 2014, justifies and glorifies vigilantism. So if stopping a truck is done in good faith, these are the words in many of the laws. Some of the laws are not written in English. So in Madhya Pradesh especially, many of the laws are written only in Hindi. And so then you have to assume what it means in the a translation. And so vigilantes have been given the power to be able to intrude into the personal lives of people, most of them Muslim, obviously. And then beginning with that, the violence comes. We've seen videos of people using boards with nails to block trucks to take them off the highway. Violence leading to deaths doesn't get the kind of response that we saw in 2015 and 16 when the first murders happened in northern India, Akhlaq, and so on. The other thing that, and there are many other laws. I think that 2015 is a beginning because that's when a sort of format is put in place on love jihad. So these are again laws. The first law comes to us in 2018, Uttarakhand, and then there are 7 BJP states which follow suit. Identical phrasing for the most part. 2 things are striking. One is in many of the laws, including in UP, conversion to ancestral faith is not counted as being conversion, and that is left undefined. What it means for the most part, as far as we understand it, is that if somebody were to convert to Hinduism, that would not be counted as being conversion. If you were to convert to another faith, then you would have to go through the law. The other important part in this law is that an adult woman who testifies to the state that she has converted of free volition, that testimony is insufficient evidence for the state. It is for the person she's marrying and the family she's marrying into that need to demonstrate that there was no coercion. And as some of you may know, the word coercion in Indian law is used in quite an unusual way. There is a Supreme Court judgment from the 70s, which says, it's called Stanislaus versus State of Madhya Pradesh, which says that if I were to induce somebody with promise of an afterlife, that would count as being coercion. That would count as being physically using material elements such as money to try and coerce them to change their faith. So my saying that the kingdom is heaven is going to come if you believe in this becomes coercion. Essentially what has happened is that we have taken away from Christians the right to propagate, a right they specifically asked for, a right that was specifically given to them, Article 25. But that happened, as I said, during the Congress period. Post 2015, we have seen a series of laws where we are doing this to our largest minority. Doing it for the most part in the north of India. I think that one of the things, and I think this book is quite important because of the fact that it looks at what the possibilities are in the last chapter, is that the widening of the gap between the north and the south on things like the economy, on things like the access into whatever we might call the middle class, has also been reflected in a widening in how we see the nation. And I think North Indians, led by Gujaratis, have become a particular, have taken on a very fierce nationalism that is aimed inwards at our own people. And the problem, of course, is that in the Weimar Republic, Jews were less than 1% of the population. In China, the Uyghur are 1% of the population. We have 200 million Muslims. We cannot damage them substantially without damaging ourselves. And it is for this reason that I think that non-Muslims in particular should read this book.